More recently, Disney has dramatically scaled back its production of live-action remakes. For a while, Disney thought they could take basically any of their old movies and defile them for a quick cash-in. Interestingly though, viewers have seen this live-action remake strategy before in the 90s and 2000s. It's basically been a somehow less creative version of the cheap Disney sequel era, but given more budget and more success and public awareness. Like, it's possible you were never aware that Beauty and the Beast received 2 straight-to-video sequels, but there's no way you were not aware that there was a live-action remake in theaters at the time. The main reason given for these live-action remakes being cancelled was due to underperforming at the theaters versus bloated production budgets. We particularly saw this in remakes such as Snow White and The Little Mermaid. In Snow White's case, it internationally made $205 million, but it had a production budget of $270 million. Estimates were that Disney lost over $100 million making it. We've seen this same issue before in movies like Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny, which did perform very well globally at $383 million, but somehow managed a ridiculously bloated production budget of $419 million. Anyway, let's take a look back at which Disney remakes have been cancelled, and I'll tell you a bit about why they've been cancelled and my thoughts on them. Hunchback of Notre Dame. Damn, this movie would have been fascinating to me, as it's impossible to do the story of Hunchback without some grit and without discussing its dark themes. As you can probably guess, Hunchback's live-action remake wasn't so much cancelled for boring old money reasons. But instead, it has a lot more to do with what I discussed in a previous video. Disney almost never kills characters in their animated movies anymore, and they simply don't discuss non-family friendly topics as much. And the story of Hunchback is so chock-a-block full of death. I don't even think I can tell you how Quasimodo originally dies in the story. Hunchback's production was stalled when they ran into this rather obvious realization, the whole Hunchback is full of death thing. The original Hunchback movie is a classic and among my favorites, and had some profound, darker themes. Themes such as societal cruelty, genocide, religious fanaticism, corrupt authorities, relentless discrimination, extreme lust, and stalking behaviors that led to murder. Now get this is what Disney was planning. Disney originally assigned Olaf, aka Josh Gad, to star as Quasimodo to produce this movie. Olaf was going to produce a musical Hunchback movie. You know, the movie about the priest who lusts after the Romani woman. Or gypsy, as the outdated term was at the time.
Look, Captain, gypsies.
See, even there is a problem for Disney with Hunchback. The original movie was constantly throwing around a harmful slur to Romani people. If you're curious about the history of the term, the original term gypsy was used due to the misconception that the Romani people originated from Egypt. See, I can't even discuss this movie without stepping into uncomfortable territory. Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz wrote much of the original amazing Hunchback soundtrack, and they were set to return to do the music for this remake. Unfortunately, in 2023, Menken said the remake was stalled, primarily due to the original movie's content and the themes being too dark. He made a very honest comment, and I think it really says a lot. To quote him, "The Hunchback story involves a lot of very real issues, and they're important issues that should be exposed and discussed. And there has to be an agreement on how we deal with those issues. Do we do a Hunchback movie without hellfire? I don't think so. So it sits in limbo." This is crazy. It actually sounds like Alan Menken had enough clout at Disney to see them not destroy the artistic beauty of the original movie he worked on. And yeah, Disney would have probably taken the safe, boring route with this movie. Hellfire is like Disney's best villain song ever, and there's just no way we'll ever see that song from them again.
He made the devil so much stronger than a man.
So respects to seeing those creative standards. The thing is, if you remove the important themes and grit of Hunchback, you lose what makes Hunchback so powerful. For this reason, I legit have no idea how this remake ever got past planning stages. But unlike most Disney remakes, you can bet my $19 I would have been there in theaters to see how this remake turned out. The Robin Hood remake. This was going to be based on the 1973 animated movie.
Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest, jumping fences, dodging trees, and trying to get away.
Similar to, say, Snow White, the Robin Hood live-action remake was going to have elements of a musical. It was going to focus on being a hybrid of both CG and live action. But in 2026, the movie was confirmed cancelled during a Reddit conference. The director Carlos Estrada, who also directed Raya and the Last Dragon, was very disappointed. In their own words, "It's dead, sadly. I actually thought there was something really special and original there. Some truly extraordinary music." End quote. I do feel bad he didn't get to finish this project, but it also feels weird hearing an official Disney director acknowledge the elephant in the room, that many of these remakes haven't been very original. Unfortunately, we didn't get much info on the movie beyond this. But given Raya and the Last Dragon has my favorite colors and animation of any Disney movie, like jeebus, that rain scene is incredible. Given that, this might have actually been the first remake I enjoyed the CG on. The Bambi remake. Dang, you want old? Bambi was made in 1942, 84 years ago. The original movie's production is actually pretty fascinating. The animators had live deer in their production studio to try and get their movement captured in animation as authentically as possible. Anyway, in 2020, it was announced we'd be seeing a remake of the young deer's coming-of-age story. Disney put extra emphasis on this being a quote-unquote photorealistic remake of Bambi. So if it's realistic deer, let me tell you, Bambi would be hugely greedy and pushy. I've actually met a lot of deer, and take a look at these guys. I mean, I love deer, but they are pushy. Unfortunately, in reality, when Disney says photorealistic, they intended to incorporate the same emotionless garbage grey lions we saw in the Lion King remake, taking the originally beautifully animated hand-drawn 1942 shots based carefully on the movements of real deer and turning it into blandness incarnate. I mean, I get not wanting to have a living deer, rabbit, and skunk on set. They can be kind of jerks. And skunks probably aren't a popular pet in Hollywood. Anyway, this is hypothetical anyway, let's move on. Disney hired the screenwriter from Captain Marvel, Geneva, and Lindsay Beer to write this one. However, according to a 2026 interview with Geneva, she hasn't received any updates on the Bambi project in like 5 years. According to news sources, screenwriter Lindsay Beer has also moved on from the project. This appears to be another remake that has just been indefinitely shelved. The news source Bleeding Cool pointed out that Disney is facing tough choices in which live-action remakes to produce moving forward. It got me thinking though, I actually really liked the sequel to Bambi, Bambi 2, and I would be far more interested in seeing a grown-up Bambi in Bambi 3 than some bland remake of the same story but with 200% less color and life. And it'd probably be a much safer, cheaper investment. For example, the Lion King movie cost $260 million to make. Given how similar the movies would have been to create, I think we can safely assume a Bambi remake would probably cost something similar. The original Bambi movie cost $2 million. Even calculating for inflation, the original Bambi in 2026 would have cost around $41 million to make at max. Hell, Bambi 2 in 2006 cost $5 to $10 million, and that arguably had the best animation of any of the Disney sequels.
Faster, Bambi! Don't look back! Keep running! Keep running!
My point being, you could produce a smaller Bambi 3 movie for much lower overhead and much less risk, and it would actually be creative. And it also won't require half of the population of the world to see it in order to not make a loss. Anyway, my stupid ideas aside, let's move on. The Sword in the Stone remake. Oh, this one goes back 63 years ago to 1963. It's one of the Disney movies I grew up with, and it's always been pretty interesting to me.
Now develop your brain. Knowledge, wisdom, there's the real power. Higher learning.
It's different, and it always has me curious. I always watch it through. I also really like Merlin. I like how even in medieval times, he was still educating Arthur in basic sciences like physics. He may be a magician, but he still understands and acknowledges the worlds of science. That's really cool.
Men who fly, all right.
just like a rock. Man will fly someday, I tell you.
And he shows Arthur these sciences by letting him live in varying animal bodies. A bit like Black Cauldron, this is one of the few Disney movies I think could have actually used a remake. This remake began production way back in 2015, and I think Disney had a good idea here, as they got Game of Thrones writer Brian Cogman to script the project. But clearly something had been going on in production, as Disney began planning this movie for Disney Plus rather than a theatrical release. Then, there was just this strange radio silence on the movie for years. Finally, in 2024, the director announced that the movie was indefinitely put on hold. Not officially cancelled, but I doubt we'll be seeing this one again.
And I thought you were going to amount to something. Great future.
The Aladdin prequel. Aladdin's remake was a massive commercial success. It grossed over $1 billion worldwide on a $183 million production. That's the kind of money that's going to get the chart guys at Disney demanding a spin-off.
Well, the chart says...
I'm not asking the charts, I'm asking you!
Well, the chart says...
You are everything that's wrong with entertainment!
But to be fair, this prequel was actually planned before the Aladdin remake. This prequel was called Genies. In 2015, news sources started reporting of this upcoming movie, and interestingly, they chose writers of horror movies for the prequel.
Bring anybody back from the dead.
Damian Shannon and Mark Swift wrote the movie, who were also known for the Friday the 13th remake and Freddy vs. Jason. Similar to the Disney live-action movie Maleficent, the movie was intended to expand upon a Disney character, in this case Genie.
No one's ever asked me that before.
The movie was going to explore how Aladdin's genie ended up trapped in the lamp.
Oh, Genie. That's terrible.
The original plan was that this Genie's movie would lead to the live-action Aladdin, but the project was eventually cancelled.
Genie, I'm really sorry.
Why was this one cancelled? Well, in this case, I personally think it might actually have less to do with money than usual. Tragically, Robin Williams passed away a year before this movie was announced, and I suspect Disney decided this might be seen as profiteering on a time of sadness and suffering for so many people, even if this movie was intended as a tribute to Mr. Williams.
The sun did not shine. It was too wet to play. So we sat in the house all that cold, cold, wet day.
Interestingly, the intended replacement for Genie wasn't Will Smith at the time. Back in 2015, it was intended to be James Monroe Iglehart. And there's no doubt he would have given a strong vocal delivery, and I think he would have given a very unique portrayal of Genie.
You dream about going up there, but that is a big mistake.
Extra points for planning something original, Disney. Less points for canning that original idea. And finally, let me know if you have any thoughts on these cancelled Disney remakes. Would you personally like to see them made? If you like, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a very pleasant day. And just a quick channel update, with obviously a big thank you to my patrons for keeping the channel alive in May. In the last month, I've been trying to release more short-form content, rather than my usual longer top vids I've done for the last 11 years. Not by choice, mind you. That's just the direction YouTube content has been dragging me to, kicking and screaming. I'll still definitely release longer vids, but at this point, switching to more short videos is just a matter of survival. Patrons decide by vote on many of the vids I make, so you can thank them for their fine taste. Though sometimes I am fully to blame for a random video topic. Now, let's open some terrible fortune cookies for the shout-out tier patrons. Anna Jones. Action is a foundational key to all success. Phoenix Star YT. It is not who you are inside that defines you, but what you do. That one's not from a fortune cookie, just what I took from Batman like 15 years ago. John Bondi. Be the sunshine on someone's rainy day. Angel Angeline, even the path of 10,000 miles begins with a single step. Glitter Wolf, life happens wherever you are, whether you live it or not. 3 Cat Day, it takes courage to speak up when needed, but it also takes courage to listen. Pixel Poppy, aim for the sky and you could hit a star. Katie and Dalton, for Katie, the only way to make a person trustworthy is to trust them. Dalton, my friend, nobody is born with wisdom, but those who seek to find it will. The Furry of Fury, it's worth doing something you love badly than doing bad by not doing something you love. Again, not from the fortune cookie, from me, from Rocky. Miss Arceus, according to Gandhi, nobody can hurt me without my permission. Well, I don't know if I agree with that one, but fair enough. Respects to you, Gandhi. Joseph Bowers, there's only one you in the entire world, so don't try to be someone else. Jordan McCann, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. That's from Mark Twain. Chandler Amethyst, it's impossible to succeed without the belief that you can. Megan Bruns, it's never impossible to show kindness. The Hug Wizard, be at ease in your own skin, for you cannot shed it like a snake. Rain Graves, if you can't be the light in the shadows, be the gem that refracts the light all around. Satin Yoshi, be happy and those around you will be happier for it. William Johnson, let your dreams, not your nightmares, define who you are. Odassin, my friend, every act of kindness is worth acting out. Joe Ferry, this is a very similar one. No act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. Mewtwo Shadow FNAF Girl, it's not what you have that determines who you are, but what you do with what you have. Check it Omega, even your smallest action can change the world for the better. Kelly Bisson, it's not the answer that enlightens, but the question. Oh, I like that. Neil Speed, my friend, even if you're on the right path, you'll get nowhere if you stand still. Thanks very much to all my bosses for keeping me going. I'll be back soon.